Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk a little Sunday night football. The Pittsburgh Steelers head to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. Before I get into some of my favorite DFS plays, some over/under stuff, and some recent betting trends, and wait, there's more. A final score. Make sure you get to the website at Team Riser Fall. Use promo code Beastie. You'll get $10 off your first month of premium services, and that includes everything. You get a credit to Fantasy Cruncher to crunch up some lines, whether it's main slate, single game entries, whatever it is. And hockey is back in action. The baseball playoffs are running wild, and the NBA season has started. So there's no other place, dare I say, that you're going to want to be a part of for any of your betting stuff or your DFS content than at Team Riser Fall. Enough with the nonsense and the housekeeping stuff. Contractually obligated to say that stuff, or what's the point here? You just hit record, go, yeah, I'm Chris. Pittsburgh's playing Miami, over unders. Blah, blah, blah. That would be boring, but I'm already getting off the rails. Let's talk about football, shall we? As it stands now, Miami, it opened. Miami was -7 points at home, and the over-under was at about 45. As it stands right now, the point spread has come down a point, and it's Miami over-under here, and this one is 44.5 points. So there's a lot to like in this game, but as much, crappy DVP as there is, right? The wide receivers from both teams should go nuts. Both quarterbacks should go nuts from a DVP, a defense versus player perspective. My final score isn't as ambitious as one would say. So let's get into it. Let's tell a little story here in a predictive game script in my mind. As we start this whole thing, let's talk about the rookie Kenny Pickett. He is 14.5 on FanDuel, 9.2 on DK, and $21 on Yahoo. As it's right now, Miami 27th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, 24 completions, 260, dare I say, in the air, and a touchdown pass, along with 3 or 4 carries for another 15 yards or so. So to me, Kenny Pickett, it's okay when you look at his price tag in comparison to a guy like Tyreek Hill or even, George Pickens in a way. It kind of, throws everything off kilter. So let's transition and talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Finally, this kid is back. It's great to see him on the football field. We know everything that's gone on with him and this organization with concussions and investigations and everything, but when we all come together or just look at it, we're just happy the kid is healthy and playing football. One could only imagine that he's happy and healthy, but again, if the NFL says yes and the Dolphins say yes, then here we go. We get Tua. Pittsburgh 26th overall against opposing quarterbacks, and Tua 15.5 on FanDuel, 11 grand on DK, and $32 on Yahoo. When we look at Tua tonight, 22 completions, again, 250, 260 yards in the air, 3-4 carries for nothing crazy, 10, maybe 15 yards. And this is where it might get not interesting, but it might get a little weird here with Tua, right? We saw that nasty concussion. Is he going to be apprehensive on the football field? Again, I've never played professional football, but one could imagine in football or hockey, anywhere where there's hard hits on every play constantly, one would think after what happened, he could be a little bit, second guessing himself, not as confident as he was. But again, football, after that first hit or a fight, first time you get punched in the face or first hit, nerves are gone. Let's roll. Let's rock it here. So I'm expecting to be about his business here in this one. When we talk about the running backs, it's Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren. I've loved Jaylen Warren, but they're just not giving him a ton of work. And given the low over/under total, I don't see enough work to go around for both guys and the Pittsburgh wide receivers. So of the two, Najee Harris, obviously you could see the graphic. Took time to do that. Pittsburgh at Miami. Miami's 20th overall against opposing running backs here. Harris, 13 grand on FanDuel, 8.2 on DK, and $16 on Yahoo. Najee Harris in seasonal dynasty formats, maybe he's not that running back. Maybe he's not the running back we thought he was. Top 5 guy, top 10 guy. I don't know. But from a Sunday Night Football perspective, he's still in play. 14 carries, 50 yards, 3-4 receptions for another 20 yards. So, best case scenario, you're looking at about 75 to 80 all-purpose yards for Najee. The rub or the move, the jelly or gravy move, whatever you want to say, is if this kid finds the end zone, and I think he does. One score on the ground, and we'll move on. When we look at the Miami running backs, to me, my projections, there's one clear back, in the Miami backfield, and that's Raheem Mostert. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm saying, well, Chris, what about Chase Edmonds? We look at Pittsburgh, 22nd overall against opposing running backs. Mostert, 10-5 on FanDuel, 7-8 on DK, and $18 even on Yahoo. When we look at Chase, 7-5 on FanDuel, 6-2 on DK, and the bare minimum, $10 on Yahoo. When we compare the two running backs, I have Mostert. There's just a healthy amount of carries, 16, 17 carries. You're looking at like 80 yards and 1 or 2 receptions for another 10 yards. So by all purposes in my notes, we're looking at like a floor or a baseline of around 80 to 90 total yards for Mostert. So hey, let's add him to our lineups. The graphics made, he's highlighted in my notes. Let's run it. But again, what do we get as a game script in this one? Because again, Mostert, 16, 17 carries, but I have Chase Edmonds for 3 or 4 receptions in this one. So you got to pick your poison here. But again, work is work, yards and yards are yards, carries are carries here. Chase Edmonds, 4 or 5 carries, 15 to 20 yards, and 2 to 3, let's just say 3 to 4 receptions for another 15 to 20 yards. So by all purposes, you're looking at about 40 to 45 total yards for Chase. He has his spots where we can use him. So that's up to you. I would. In some certain spots, I would. In massive, these GPPs where there's 170 to 100,000 people playing in there, Chase is definitely in play. Let's talk about the wide receivers. That's the meat of this broadcast. That's the meat of today's schedule, tonight's slate, I should say. And let's start it off. Chase Claypool, Pittsburgh, 24th overall or Miami's 24th overall against opposing wide receivers. When you look at Claypool, 10 grand on FanDuel, 6-6 on DK, $13 on Yahoo. Claypool, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 60 yards, 1 carry, 10 yards, and I think he finds the end zone. So to me, Chase is very much in play after just a phenomenal last week. And this is this a sign of things to come? Is Chase Claypool that studly wide receiver we all thought he could be, or is it still Deontay Johnson's show, the PPR monster, or can both be supported by Kenny Pickett? And we haven't even talked about George Pickens yet. So let's slow down a little bit. Let's talk about Deontay Johnson. I have him 9 or 10 targets, 6-7 receptions, 70 to 75 yards, a carry or 2 for 8 to 10 yards. You'll notice like Claypool or Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel has created this thing, at least in my head, that I think am I weird? Is it crazy? I don't know. I'm going to button this up because things are about to get wild here. But Deebo Samuel has created this thing where, any, actively fast or tall, studly wide receiver, you got to account for him in the backfield carrying the football because, maybe Deebo didn't start the whole thing, but he's been pretty damn good at it. So now when you look at Claypool or Deontay Johnson or especially George Pickens, they have to be held. We have to make sure if they're going to get a carry or 2 because that will just add to whatever they got going on the field here. So that's why you'll notice, the last few, games or single game DFS videos, you're like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle getting a carry, better safe than sorry. Or just to say that, yeah, I did have that in my mind as I was broadcasting, not trying to be, told you so kind of guy, but better safe than sorry, right? So let's move it on. Deontay Johnson, as I said, 11-5 on FanDuel, 8 grand on DK, and $17 on Yahoo. When we get to George Pickens, 8-5 on FanDuel, 6-4 on DK, $15 on Yahoo. 7 targets. I think Claypool and Pickens are a good 1-2 punch if you're going to fade Deontay Johnson. If you don't fade Deontay Johnson, then fade Claypool and Pickens. You get what I'm saying here? So it's 2 or 1, and we can make multiple lineups with Claypool and Pickens or Deontay Johnson straight up, and you run it back with Harris. When we look at Pickens here, 7-8 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, 60 to 65 yards. You love to see that. And will one of those receptions be like this big chunk play where it's like 45 yards and then just like dinking and dunking the rest of the way here? Could be. I don't know. When we look at Miles Boykin, also in play, 5-5 on FanDuel, 400 on DK, $10 on Yahoo. Now we're getting crazy. Kenny Pickett can support 4 wide receivers and a pass catching back like Najee Harris. Absolutely not, but just in case. When we look at Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, that is another good move. Deontay Johnson, Tyreek Hill, and Waddle, or you run it back with Claypool, Pickens, and Pitt mix or match, Tyreek Hill or Waddle. A lot of different moving parts in this one. When we look at Tyreek Hill, $16,000 on FanDuel. Fun fact, Tyreek Hill is more expensive than both quarterbacks on the single game slate, and rightfully so. On DK, Tyreek Hill 11-2. On Yahoo, Tyreek Hill $34. When we look at Tyreek here, You know what you're going to get? We're going to get a peace sign at some point in this game. 10 targets, 7 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown in some form or fashion. 1 or 2 carries, another 10 to 12 yards. To me, a touchdown is a touchdown, but if you're a sports bettor, you're doing price pick stuff, over-under stuff, you want to know, well, Chris, how's he going to score his touchdown? Obviously, I think he's a wide receiver, so he's going to catch the touchdown pass, catch, touchdown, and we'll go from there. Jalen Waddle very much in play again, and get this, Pittsburgh, not good against opposing wide receivers. I know that's not a very good statistically speaking thing. Well, why do you want to pick Miami Dolphins wide receivers, Chris? What's the big move here? And you're waiting for some big profound statement. Well, Pittsburgh's just not that good against wide receivers. They actually are dead last, 32nd overall in points and yardage that they give up to wide receivers. So Jalen Waddle, 12.5 on FanDuel, on DK 9.6, and on Yahoo $29. Both are must-haves. Are they must-have in the same lineup? And if they are, do we have to play Tua? Yes and no. We're able to move about and do as we please. But as I said, if we're going to run Claypool and Pickens, we're going to pick Waddle or Hill and then move on. Deontay Johnson and then the odd man out in the Miami portion of the thing. So we have 4 or 5 wide receivers that I think we could build an entire lineup around, and then we throw in one of these tight ends, which I'll get to right now. Pat Freiermuth did clear concussion protocol yesterday on Saturday. That is great to see. You're looking at $8,000 on FanDuel, $5,000 on DK, and $17 on Yahoo. Freiermuth, 6 or 7 targets, 5 receptions, 50 yards. That's great. And I'm glad Freiermuth is back in action. I was going to fire up Zach Gentry if need be. And again, I don't think we throw him to the curb here in this one because, again, single game slate, anything can happen. Zach Gentry, 6.5 on FanDuel, 3.2 on DK, and the bare minimum $10 on Yahoo. Miami right now 21st overall against opposing tight ends. When we look at the Miami side of things, and I'll share a picture of this. Mike Gesicki had an unbelievable week. Gesicki, $8,000 on FanDuel, 5.2 on DK, $15 on Yahoo. But the big thing here was Miami says we're looking to we're open to trading Mike Gesicki, and that's what I had in my notes. Not that 3-4 targets this week, 2-3 receptions, 30 yards maybe, 35 yards here, and I was like, trade watch, right? What if he splits before this game happens, or at the last second? Call me crazy. What if an hour before lock, when all the the guys that aren't playing, the inactives list comes out, Mike Gesicki is in street clothes because there's a deal in the works. They're gonna wait till tomorrow or Tuesday to get it moving here, and boom, out of nowhere, Durham Smythe is the starting tight end. Just pay attention to something crazy like that. We've seen sillier things happen in baseball where a center fielder's taken out halfway through the game, gets a standing ovation, and he's traded and he's gone, leaves right away. And when you look at Durham Smythe, I know I'm jumping around, but hey, 12 minutes in, excited, trying to get the heck out of here. Durham Smythe, 5.5 on FanDuel. On DK, he is $1,200. And if Gesicki is gone, traded, moved, Hunter Long is also in play. Bare minimum across the board. Even Tanner Connor, that's a weird name, across all formats, dirt cheap as well for Miami. When we look at the kickers, this game let's just say it now. I have Miami winning this one 24-17. So when you look at this one, we're looking at a few field goals. We're looking at a few extra points. Which way would you go? I would run with Jason Sanders, the Miami Dolphins quarterback, in this one because we could slice it either way. 24 points could be, 2 extra points and a couple field goals, or 3 extra points and a field goal. So either way you slice it, give me Jason Sanders, 9.5 on FanDuel, 4.4 on DK. Kickers don't play on Yahoo, but hey, that is what it is. So before I split, let me give you some recent betting trends. I'll give you the final score one more time and we'll get the heck out of here. Pittsburgh, 1-3 against the spread their last 5 games. The under has come in 45 of Pittsburgh's last 65 games on the road. That's something good to know. Pittsburgh's on the road and under. I like the under in this one. Miami, 7-2 against the spread their last 9 games at home, and the under has hit in 11 of Miami's last 16 games. So the under is just grabbing us. They play the under, grab you by the ear, play the under, stack up, some Pittsburgh Steelers. But for the majority of it, I love Miami to win this one, 24-17. So I will see you again the same time tomorrow for Monday Night Football. Be good, be safe, enjoy your week 7, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.